That's a good hit. That's a good hit. You dirty as don't you know it.
Week 1, September 8th, Sunday Night Football. The Detroit Lions, led by Jared Goff, are taking on the LA Rams and Mathew Stafford, a rematch of the wild card round of last year's playoffs in LA. And I'm telling you, the Cats aren't only going to beat the Rams week 1, the Lions are going to destroy the Rams. The Lions open up as 3.5-point favorites if you're interested in that, and I'm telling you, they're going to win by more than that. My prediction is that they win by at least double digits. And the first reason for that is Aaron Donald is gone. This was a defense that was led by a Hall of Famer for the last 7 years. During last year's playoff match, Jared Goff was sacked 3 times and hit 6 times by the Rams front line. And I'd definitely argue that the Rams defense hasn't gotten better during this offseason. They won't be better without Aaron Donald for at least a little bit, even with drafting Jared Verse. And the Lions' offensive line, one of the best in the NFL, I'd argue has gotten better during this offseason when they signed Kevin Zeidler, guard from the Ravens. So with this, I don't think the Lions' offense is really scared of any pass rush from the Rams' defense. The Lions' offensive line has been hot. They only allowed 2 sacks against the Bucs, 5 QB hits in the divisional round, and then only 2 sacks against the 49er, both by Bosa, and 5 QB hits. And throughout all the regular season, Jared Goff was only sacked 30 times through 17 games, averaging 1.76 sacks a game. And this isn't only praising the Lions' offensive line. Sacks are kind of a QB stat as well, and Jared Goff is phenomenal under pressure, doesn't hold the ball long, and he doesn't take bad sacks. Another reason why I really think the Lions are going to just destroy the Rams is that we know how good the Lions offense is, finishing top 5 in points per game in back-to-back years. And the Lions scored touchdowns on all 3 of their first drives to start out their playoff game. So we know that the Lions have one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. Easily top 5. I'd personally say that's number 1 in the NFL. Chiefs second. And I honestly just don't see this Rams team competing with one of the best teams in the NFL right now. It sounds crazy, but it's true. The Lions are a top 5 team in the league now. And this Rams team, specifically their defense, I don't think can hang with them. I don't think they're ready for the top in the NFL. And I know this team got hot at the end of last season to get into the playoffs. And I do believe that teams that end the season really well and end hot usually pick up where they left off. The Lions did from 2022 to 2023 when they finished season 8-2 last year. Phenomenal season. And I hate to say it, but it's true. Fuck the Packers. The Packers finished the season hot and they beat a really good team in the playoffs. Well, I guess they didn't really beat a good team. It was the Cowboys, but they played well in the playoffs in both their games. In this Rams secondary, I just don't think is good enough to hang with a top 5 offense. The roster, I just don't think is good enough. And now they're going to be missing their Hall of Fame pass rusher. And it's going to be the first game of their new defensive coordinator. I think it was a good hire, but it's his first game. The Rams' best secondary player is Tre'Davious White, who signed with the Rams this offseason. Great player, but he's coming off an Achilles injury from last season where he missed pretty much the whole year. And Darius Williams is pretty good, but besides them, I just think it's really weak. And their whole defense, not saying it's going to be bad forever, it's just really young right now. And I don't think that year 2 Byron Young and year 1 Jared Verse are going to be enough to carry this defense, especially week 1. And really, the only way I see the Lions losing this game is that if Mathew Stafford cannot be stopped throwing to Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, if the Lions secondary is just as bad as it was during last year's playoffs against the Rams, then they could be toast. But I really don't think that's going to happen. The Lions have really addressed that issue. Terrion Arnold, Carlton III, Amik Robertson, Ennis Rakestraw. They've added a lot of talent there. And they still have Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil. They signed DJ Reader. Their defense has gotten a lot better. And even when the Rams were winning towards the end of last season, it was pretty much the offense carrying the defense. Every single win or game was a 1-score game. And their secondary wasn't the best in these games. The Ravens gave up 310 passing yards. 218 passing yards to the Commanders, which isn't that bad, but still only winning by 1 score. 304 passing yards against the Saints and Derek Carr. 284 passing yards against the Giants. These are teams where the game's close, but the Lions were playing these teams like the Giants 2 years ago. They destroyed them, and that's when the Giants had a good season. It's also just so funny that it's Mathew Stafford, Lions rematch week 1. The NFL really did a great job at scheduling some insane matches. Just the fact that Mathew Stafford was in the first playoff game at Ford Field and had potential to win the first playoff game at Ford Field was insane. And then the beef with Kirby Joseph, it was pretty crazy. They just called him out like that, yelling at Kirby for tearing Higbee's ACL. You're a dirty player. I've seen it on tape. Dirty player. Even though I have a lot of confidence saying that the Lions, I really think they're going to win this game because they've upgraded their defense and upgraded their offense even. And the Rams, their defense has gotten a lot weaker in my opinion, and it's really just offense reliant. I feel like there's obviously a chance the Lions could lose, and I still think this is going to be a really good game. Even if the Lions do win by multiple scores, which I think will happen, I still think it will be close and competitive because to me, the Rams want revenge. The Lions were their last opponents. It was Puka Nacua just tearing apart the Lions secondary, and Mathew Stafford just throwing the ball everywhere. The Lions' run defense was great last season. Surely it'll be great again. It's even better now. But their secondary got torched, and it's not Cooper Kupp anymore. Even now that he's back and healthy and he's going to be 100%, Puka Nacua, I think he's going to keep being the main target all next season. But yeah, the Rams' last loss was the Lions. I'm sure they want revenge. The Lions definitely want to beat the Rams again. But if you watch the video they posted about what game each player is most excited about, a lot of the players are focused on the 49ers later in the season. And the Lions played 2 more games after their matchup with the Rams. And I think just those 2 games, the experience and confidence from playing really well in big moments brought them. These Lions players, they're young, but they're gaining a lot of experience fast. And they're used to playing in these big games and winning. They also went 4-2 overall for primetime games. Should have been 5-1 if it wasn't for the Zebras. They beat Dallas. Can't change my mind about that. That was a win. And they also went 1-1 in primetime in 2022. They almost beat the Bills on Thanksgiving, which was a phenomenal game. And they knocked the Packers out of the playoffs Sunday Night Football Week 18. Don't forget about that. Fuck the Packers. That was one of the best games ever. And in the last 561 days, the Lions are 26. And in the last 561 days, the Lions are 22-8. 22-8. Pretty damn good. 8-2 to finish last season. Had a phenomenal year this past year. Almost beat the Cowboys on primetime as well. They went up against hard opponents. And then wild card round, beat the Rams. One of the hottest offenses into the postseason, and their defense was playing well. And then they beat Tampa in the playoffs. And then they go to San Francisco and nearly win. They go to the Super Bowl. Phenomenal season. I think the Lions win this one. My prediction is double digits. Hopefully it goes through. We will see. I predicted the Lions beat the Chiefs week 1 last season. Nobody had the Lions. And the Lions did win. It was a little bit lucky. I will admit that. Kadarius Toney, thank you. We love you, actually. Hopefully the Chiefs put you back in the starting lineup. You should have played during the playoffs. Trust. But I think the Rams aren't as tough as playing against Patrick Mahomes and their defense from last season, which was phenomenal. I think the Rams are a weaker opponent, and with the Lions' experience playing in big games and just this new roster, I don't think going to SoFi Stadium is going to be an issue. If you enjoy my content, appreciate if you could like, subscribe, helps me out a lot, and thanks for watching.